Hey, what up, YouTube? We're going to jump into this France news. It's pretty spicy stuff. I have a kind of a hot take a little bit. I don't know if I completely disagree with what I'm seeing. And look, I don't agree with violence, with using violence to protest. I think it is counterproductive. At the same time, I can't argue how effective the French protesters are putting forth a message. At the same time, it seems if your playbook is only one move, either violence or, you know, whatever you would call American style protesting. It seems if you just do the same thing over and over and over again, right? If that's your culture's style of protesting, law enforcement works around it. Because what do we see France do? Deploy 40,000 police officers. You know, Sarkozy over here basically, you know, I mean, it is Sarkozy, right? I'm tripping, right? Oh, it's Macron. Holy shit, I'm going back to, I was like, wait a minute, Sarkozy, that doesn't sound right. Yeah. Wait, so Elizabeth Bourne is the prime minister. When did that happen? I thought there was just an election that put in Macron. So this happened in May 2022. Well, fuck nuts. Prime minister. So wait, is there a prime minister and a president? Hold on. Hold on, I should... These are probably things I should know before sticking my neck in the conversation. But he's a French politician. He's president of France. Okay, so there's a prime minister and a president. Wow, okay. Anyway, I mean, look, what I was getting at, though, is that, I mean, look at how much damage the police do to innocent people in the United States, right? Look at how many people are shot in the back, how many cops with itchy trigger fingers and, you know, and they can't handle pressure. They weren't trained for this, and they just start blasting. I saw a video with a cop. You know, the one cop was struggling with a guy in the car. He was in the car with him, struggling, and this other cop walking up does a mag dump into the driver's seat. The cop, he missed every shot except one that grazed the cop, right? And yeah, I think it was only the cop that got shot. So I've seen what acquiescing to police violence, police escalation of violence, because I'm going to show you the clip. It's right out of America, right? Two cops, they pull over a teenager. And you know, they're super aggressive. I think they might have shown up with their guns drawn, maybe, you know, we'll see in the video. And the teenager then panics, drives away, and as the person is driving away, the cop fires a single shot. I'm not sure where the person was hit, but then, you know, about a couple feet down the road, the car had flipped because the driver had been killed with that shot. And it's you know, in America we call that a Tuesday. It has become completely normalized for our cops to murder us, and as long as there is a flimsy justification, and in this case in America this would be fully justified, and I'll show you, and I'll reiterate that, but the cops use they were using their car as a weapon excuse, even if the person is clearly fleeing, not attempting to ram the cop, but just trying to get away from the cop. I was close to the vehicle, and they moved the vehicle. Justified killing. It's called a Tuesday in America. I kind of get seeing that. If you could imagine seeing that from across the pond, right? And then you see your police start emulating it. Right? I don't want to go down that route. I don't want to agree with this. I don't want to acquiesce to this and start defending this as justified. We got to nip this in the bud right now. Right? Because here's the thing. Breaking the law does not justify murdering someone. unless, of course, that person is like, you know, murdering another person, right? But a lot of crimes do not require deadly force, right? Jay Solahub, welcome. Number one in the chat. Good to see you. I was in France back in March during the pension retirement protest. Absolutely ridiculous. And Macron, of course, just went through with it regardless, completely disregarding the will of the people. The police over there are highly militarized and carry assault rifles and submachine guns to protest. I will say, Solohov, French protesters are especially violent. But with that said, they're violent to property. I don't see them, you know, cornering cops and beating them to death. We do see fights with cops. We do see, right, retaliation against cops. But I'm not seeing some kind of targeted, you know, the protesters are not going out there trying to kill people. They're trying to break property. And how do the cops want to respond to that, you know, with these? I mean, how long are they going to carry around these deadly toys and then not use them, right? Those, you know, they're carrying around lethal weapons, not, you know, pepper spray and rubber bullets and shit. You know, they're talking about, like, I see it, like machine guns, submachine guns, right? Like a MAC-10 or M5, probably an M5, right, with the fucking thing you can slap reload, right, when you chamber the first round, that thing. All right, let's get into it. Well, very appropriate album cover here, Sacrifice from Tennessee. Lovely, absolutely lovely song, gotta say. It's one of my faves. All right, let's jump in. Gonna go ahead and get my censored button ready here.
Aujourd'hui, il y a un choc.
This is the Prime Minister. Yeah, you see, I learned something. Yeah, you see? Reading is fundamental. This is the Prime Minister, not the President. Okay, big difference.
Une colère. C'est à la justice d'y répondre. Je connais l'engagement de nos policiers et de nos gendarmes au quotidien sur le terrain. Ils savent que porter l'uniforme, c'est répondre à un devoir, celui de l'exemplarité. Les images choquantes diffusées hier montrent une intervention qui ne semble manifestement pas conforme aux règles.
You would take those weapons into a war zone, right? Because you need close quarters. You need to throw as many bullets in a close quarters situation. Up against unarmed civilians that are breaking into the Five Guys. Yeah, what you need is like some pepper spray and some rubber bullet. One flash grenade and they're out of there. You know, one flash bomb thrown into the, you know, or smoke grenade thrown into the fucking Five Guys. All of them are gone, right? Now, but here's the thing. I don't want to get stuck in the trap of defending wanton violence, you know, burning and breaking of shit. With that said, what do I prefer, right, if I have no choice? If there's some kind of outlet necessary, there's some kind of outpouring of grief that's happening, what would I prefer happen? Property or lives lost? Obviously property, right? We just rebuild these things. Not a big deal. We'll rebuild the Five Guys. It's okay, right? I have a photograph of the protest that was broken up with rubber bullets, tear gas minutes later. Entirely peaceful aside from the crowd. And that's, okay, and Solov is bringing up a great point that I haven't brought up yet, shamefully, is that the police, if the protest is not getting rowdy enough, the police will, agent provocateurs, of course, it's hard to prove, but they're there. But then, of course, they'll do the kettling and other aggressive anti-protest, blocking off, like I said, kettling and all these different strategies to antagonize the crowd, forcing the crowd into a defensive position and forcing them to think tactically and aggressively. No negotiation is had. There's absolutely none. Oh, it's curfew, time to bust ass, right? Here comes the batons, here comes the tear gas. If you're lucky, I guess, what like I said, how long are they going to carry around these big fancy toys before they start using them? And as we've seen with the 17-year-old, they're starting to get an itchy trigger finger. We see it over here in the United States, man. See it all. It's a Tuesday in the United States.
Règles d'engagement de nos forces de l'ordre. La justice devra établir.
And then there it is. See, Davey over here with his mindset from the United States. Davey is also a Ron DeSantis voter, so make sure you let him know how you feel about that. So Davey over here justifying it as a completely justified. And as you'll see, I mean, let's go ahead and watch the video before we get into this here. As you can see, because, like I said, cops like to use the justification of they're using the car as a weapon against me. Well, one of these has to have it. Jeez, I thought for sure it was in here somewhere. Let's see if we can't find this clip in here. Wow, this whole news report doesn't have it? Okay, hold on. Oh, here we go. Yeah, here we go. So the cops, yes, I've seen the video, Davey. So cops and disgusting people like Davey here, who's going to be voting for Ron DeSantis, by the way. Make sure you let him know how you feel about that. So cops like to say this is justification for violence because they're using the car as a weapon. Now, that's not the case. That's a disingenuous, dishonest, take on the video here, as you're going to see here. This person is not attempting to kill the officers with their vehicle. They're attempting to flee the officers. And might I remind you, Davey, that fleeing the officers, running away from officers, is not a crime that justifies killing. I know you really, really, really want it to be. I know. Yeah, I know. That's pretty disgusting, bro. Pretty gross. I'm pretty fucking ashamed of you. But as much as you really, 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 really want it to be a crime to disobey the cops and run away from them, it's actually not legal. It's actually not legal to murder someone for doing that. I didn't know. I don't know if you're aware of that, but it's actually a bad thing to shoot someone when they're running away from you, terrified. Also, what would you do? What would you do? Would you get a little scared, Davey, if a cop was pointing a fucking weapon right in your face like that? Yeah, I know. It's pretty fucking gross, bud. Yeah, pretty fucking gross. So what? I mean, a teenager. I wouldn't fucking gun it. Hey, Davey, were you ever a teenager? Did you ever make a bad decision in your life, or was it just 100% right moves, 100% just slam dunks every single time when you were a teenager? Did you, you were just nailing it, right? Never said a stupid thing, never did a stupid thing, never committed any crimes. You probably never committed any crimes. You're fucking so fucking buttoned up tight. So you've never committed any crimes, right? Just followed every rule, never made any mistakes, right? So a teenager that's in that situation absolutely deserves death, right? Wow. Yeah. I kind of get it. If I was an activist in France and I was looking at America and I was looking at people like Davey who are sitting here justifying cops murdering people every single day. Like I said, this is a Tuesday in America, completely justified in America. Cop would get a pat on the back, wouldn't even get a reprimand. Good job. Yep. That teenager is clearly trying to kill you. So let's go ahead and watch the video. You see what I mean? Yep. So you see what I see? See what I mean right here? Was that person trying to kill? Was that person trying to kill that cop? And also, they might have been dead the moment that the cop fired, and then they had no more control, right? They had no more control. But cops do that in America too, right? They'll grab onto the car, hold onto the car. Oh, you're assaulting me. You're assaulting me. He could let go at any moment, but he doesn't, right? Oh, murder. You deserve to die, right? There you go. So that fully justified according to the monsters in America, the conservatives in America who are trying to ruin our lives and are actively voting for people that are trying to destroy our democracy, right? So remember that. The people that are voting Ron, the people that are making all their justifications, they're trying to make this the new normal in America, right? Totally justified. There was absolutely nothing justified about this. Zero justification, actually, right? That cop was not in danger. The teenager was not attempting to ram that cop with their car. That shot was not necessary. They could have engaged in a chase, pulled over that vehicle, maybe let the vehicle get away. They have the license plate, track down the owner, go to the address. No, Davey, you are intentionally misconstruing you're doing exactly what a conservative does. You are intentionally misconstruing what we're seeing with our eyes. You're telling us not to believe our lying eyes, right? And you are doing that to justify a system of oppression and murder that has become normalized by the police in the United States. That's what you're doing, man. This person is not trying to kill the police. This is a teenager who is panicking and running. Look, there, and that person's already dead right there. There's the shot right there. There's the shot right there. This person did not deserve to be executed. If whatever crime they committed, they should have their day in court. Over here, Davey, Mr. Button Up, Mr. American, believes in summary execution, doesn't believe in arresting people and giving them their day in court. Absolutely disgusting. So I kind of get it. I kind of get why the French protesters are tearing shit up, because monsters in the United States want us to believe our lying eyes. They're over here voting Ron and believing, we just got to believe this is fully justified. This person is not attempting to kill this person. This person is not attempting to kill this cop. This is a teenager that is running away and, in fact, might have been dead right here, right as the shot happens. Right there. They might be dead. Really. Totally justified. Absolutely disgusting. This is not how professionals should be operating. Going up to the car, get out of the fucking car! And then executing them and with one shot. Summary execution. Absolutely not justified. Disgusting. Real quick, I want to show you a clip of who Davey is going to be voting for. Just want to remind you, this is the person that Davey is supporting, and this is the person making this pro-gun argument. What is happening here? Can I fucking please get to the fucking message here? Just show you here real quick. Woke Patriot had a killer one. Here we go. Oh, you were actually shitting on him as well. Davey was also shitting on Ron DeSantis for this performance, which is actually really funny. Where's the clip? Oh my God, where the hell is it? Hold on. There it is. I just want to remind everybody, this is the person Davey is saying he's going to vote for.
Our president. You're just another establishment little bitch. Thank you.
Well, okay, let's.
So he was just called a little bitch by a Republican. Is that an AI voice? Really? It's totally fake? Oh, damn it. All right, never mind. All right, I take it. I'm really pissed at Davey, and I'm being very mean to Davey, and I'm not going to apologize right now because I'm too fucking pissed off at you. All right, this is fake.
That you'll never be our president. You're just another establishment little bitch.
It does sound just like AI. How could I be so fucking stupid?
Thank you.
Well, okay, let's just, some people are actually here to see me, you know? Some people actually like me. For instance, show of hands, everybody. How many of you are actually going to vote for me? One guy. Okay, I guess this is just really awkward.
I gotta say, the AI is getting good though. Like it had that human element to it. Yeah. All right. Yeah, very robotic. I'm a dum-dum. Okay. Yeah, David. So that's summary execution, fully justified. The cops, you know, they're telling this person to stop. They're not stopping. Execute them. It's a teenager panicking. Teenager hasn't run anybody over, right? Summary execution. No, I don't really give a shit, Davey. You should be ashamed of yourself.
Elle a été saisie, elle a commencé son travail, un policier est en garde à vue. Et je souhaite comme
Let's start these Prime Minister's comments over.
Aujourd'hui, il y a un choc, un deuil, une colère. C'est à la justice d'y répondre. Je connais l'engagement de nos policiers et de nos gendarmes au quotidien sur le terrain. Ils savent que porter l'uniforme, c'est répondre à un devoir, celui de l'exemplarité. Les images choquantes diffusées hier montrent une intervention qui ne semble manifestement pas conforme aux règles d'engagement de nos forces de l'ordre.
The crux of the conservative argument is that the cop is justified in murdering somebody if they're disobeyed and if, you know, they have perceived that person is putting other people in danger. With a car, you can kill somebody very easily. I feel like, though, with a teenager, with a young person who's freaking out and having a mental health issue, running up to the car with your pistol drawn, screaming, barking orders. You know, like I said, I was a teenager once. I remember being a teenager. I remember making some really, really bad choices as a teenager because I was emotional, because I wasn't, you know, fully in my right mind. And to think that some assholes on the internet could see me getting blasted in the face by a cop before I had actually, you know, hurt anybody or killed anybody. Maybe, I don't know. What did this person do that was so, you know, that's fully justified? Was this person on a murder spree? Was this person, what was he doing? Was he speeding? Oh no. Right? Speeding can get people killed. You know, I just don't think I agree with this argument that, I mean, unless this guy was on a murder spree, right? Unless this guy was slamming his car, you know, into other people and clearly hurting other people. See, once again, you're hurting your own argument by disingenuously describing what we saw on camera as that person attempting to kill that cop with their vehicle, because that was not the case, right? You're hurting your own argument by lying. Okay, that video is clear as day. That person is panicking and running away. It's the cop's decision to hop onto the windshield, right? Because he's got his fucking gun right there. That was the cop's choice. And that person was not trying to murder that cop, right? But that person was also murdered about 2 seconds, maybe even 1 second after they hit the gas pedal. So that moment when the cop is being picked up, and carried away, nearly ran one over. But Davey, right? So right there, the person's dead. Right there, the person's dead. And no, this person is not attempting to run the cop over. No. Right? So they're dead. Cop easily gets out of the way. He's not even on top of the windshield. Murders them. Now they're dead. No opportunity to plead their case in court. Could have just let this guy just drive away. Okay, hey, we got the license plate. We'll pick him up at his house. We'll talk to his family, do an investigation. Nah, it's easier. Just shoot him in the head. Justified. Monstrous. Barbarous. This is not how, as a civilian, this is not how I want my police to be trained. I don't believe this is professionalism in the police. See, and once again, you're being completely disingenuous. Now you're talking about a hypothetical that didn't happen. Oh, this could have happened. That could have happened. This, and this could have happened. Except none of it did happen. And this person was not, you know, when that 1 second that they hit the accelerator and the car started moving forward, he wasn't churning the wheel, trying to fucking smush him. He was trying to get away. Fleeing the police is not an automatic murder sentence. I'm sorry, Americans, okay, that are just fucking programmed to knee-jerk react, defend the police union and their warrior cop mentality. Justified. Yep, that's justified. Coulda this, coulda that. What about this? What about that? Coulda, except didn't. Except it was a fucking frightened teenager that deserved his day in court. He's already dead. He's already fucking dead right there. And in fact, think about this, Davey. Davey over here cares so much about the public safety. Davey cares so much about public safety. He believes that extrajudicial murder is justified. But how come Davey hasn't mentioned the fact that this cop just created a battering ram? This cop with his justified murder just created a half-ton murder machine completely out of control with a dead corpse on the accelerator. They don't show it in the video, but the car flipped over into a public parking lot could have killed way more people. Do you give a shit about that one, Davey? Would it be justified to shoot that cop in the head had that car hit some civilians? Right? Justified. That cop just turned that car into a deadly weapon. Just his partner just pulls out the gun and fucking summarily executes him right then and there. Justified. Bad faith, huh? The cop creates a fucking deadly weapon, right? No concern whatsoever. Justified. That car careened into a public fucking parking lot, flipped over. Just cost of doing business, you know. Hey man, you got to crack a few eggs, okay? What the criminals out here are not going to learn their lesson unless we fucking brutalize them. Absolutely ridiculous, Davey. Disgusting. This is not professionalism. It is not justified. It is not justified to summarily execute a person for panicking and running away. Had that person been running over people with their vehicle, a traffic violation, Davey over here calling him a criminal like he's on a fucking murder spree, disingenuously describing the very thing we're looking at. It's exactly what a conservative does. Lies to you. Right? You watch a video, oh, that doesn't look like that person was attempting to kill it. Davey, that person was trying to murder that cop. I saw it. Don't believe your lying eyes. Classic conservative bullshit. Classic conservative bullshit. Going up to that Ron DeSantis bar and lapping it up.
Un feu tricolore.
Oh no, not the businesses.
Mettant pied à terre.
I hope the cop shot him square in the head every time. Justified, justified.
Les policiers affirment avoir prié au conducteur de s'arrêter en se positionnant sur le côté gauche du véhicule.
I hope the cop did that to every single protester in that Five Guys restaurant. Tearing them up in there, boy. Justified, bitch. That's professionalism, according to Davey.
Et les avoir pointés sur le conducteur pour le dissuader de redémarrer.
So sick. Let me tell you something. I've seen this mentality destroy America. Turn America's policing into toxic fear. I mean, absolutely terrifying shit pants fear, dude. You ever been pulled over by an American cop? They ask you a bunch of intimidating questions. They hold your fate in their hand. They play with you.
Et le contact. Au moment où le véhicule a redémarré, le policier situé près de l'aile du véhicule a tiré une fois.
Classic conservative Reagan bullshit.
Le véhicule a poursuivi sa route avant de s'encastrer dans un monument immobilier Nelson Mandela.
Yeah, exactly. Black and white little world of yours, Davey. Nice little black and white little world. They just like chaos. Yeah. No, there's no reason why they're doing it. No, not at all. They just want to steal shoes. Yeah.
La justice devra établir les faits. Elle a été saisie.
No, I mean, look, I gotta say, I don't agree with burning shit down, right? But if I have to choose, if the public has to make a message, and I have to choose between shooting somebody in the head and making a half a ton murder machine careen down the road, or burn a few buildings down. I mean, the thing is that it's so easy for disingenuous right wingers like the ones we have in the chat to go, oh, the whole thing that let's focus on the violence, let's focus on the rioting, let's forget why they're doing it, let's forget the politics behind it, let's forget all of that. Let's just focus on the fact that they're criminals and they want to do crime and they're just bad guys, right? And then when everything's said and done, the right winger Macron, right, who sent out 40,000 stormtroopers, right? I gotta say, though, the violence is ultimately counterproductive. They were rioting because a cop shot a teenager in the head. And there's a bunch of right-wingers running around saying it's justified. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, Davey. No. Wow, the right-winger Panda Man sees an extremely right-wing figure like Macron as a centrist. Gee, I wonder where Panda Man's politics really lie. I wonder how right-wing Panda Man is when he sees a right-wing figure as right-wing as Macron and goes, that's a moderate. I got two fucking filthy-ass, gross motherfucking Ron DeSantis voters in my fucking chat, and they suck. All right? You suck. You don't want the world to be a better place. You're not trying. You don't give a shit. You've embraced nihilism and the fucking people who poison us with it.
Commencer son travail,
Macron is not a
un
fucking
policier
centrist.
est en
Suck
garde
my
à vue.
dick.
Et je souhaite, comme chacun, que la vérité soit faite le plus rapidement possible et que des réponses soient apportées. La justice passera, personne ne doit en douter. Seule la justice permettra de faire toute la lumière sur ce drame.
Macron
Seule la
is centrist.
justice apportera des réponses
Yeah,
face à la douleur d'une famille
a real
et à
centrist
la
would
peine
lower
d'une
the
nation.
retirement, it would
Et
raise the
alors que des
retirement
violences
age.
ont éclaté cette nuit dans certains quartiers, tout particulièrement dans les Hauts-de-Seine,
A centrist would do that even if there was a massive, major public outcry, right? Because centrists, they love to just do right-wing policies regardless of what the people say. Yeah, no, he's a centrist. Yeah.
je veux appeler chacun à l'apaisement. Monsieur le sénateur Pierre Laurent, nous voulons la justice pour Naël et nous l'obtiendrons, mais elle doit être rendue de manière pacifique.
But the violence is counterproductive.
Évidemment, une très forte émotion, puisqu'un jeune de 17 ans a trouvé la mort dans des conditions
Panda Man,
brutales.
are you autistic? So as long as the party labels itself something, regardless of that party's actions, that label sticks, right? The neoliberals claim to be left-wing in America. They claim to be left. The neoliberals haven't been left-wing since the fucking 70s. Right? But, oh, well, they say they're liberal. Oh, no. Are you one of, Banda Man, are you one of these jackasses that thinks socialism is fascism because the fascists called themselves the Socialist Party? Are you one of those people?
Une émotion que nous partageons
The hell
avec
is
la
wrong with
famille,
you?
les amis, les voisins, les proches, et évidemment la nation tout entière, parce qu'il s'agit d'un jeune de 17 ans. Le ministre de l'Intérieur a rappelé qu'une enquête judiciaire est ouverte. À ce stade, à l'heure à laquelle je vous parle, il y a un policier qui est en garde à vue avec une enquête pour homicide volontaire. Nous souhaitons, comme l'a dit le ministre de l'Intérieur ce matin, qu'il puisse y avoir une communication par la justice dès lors que la garde à vue touchera à son terme.
Et un peu le malheur de la société, il y a beaucoup de problèmes. Je crois qu'on est tous responsables. Que ce soit les forces de l'ordre, les familles, tout le monde a lâché, je pense que c'est ça. Peut-être le mec il devait être à bout de nerfs, je ne sais pas qu'est-ce qui s'est passé. La réalité, je ne peux pas le dire. Mais c'est dramatique, c'est une vie humaine quand même. Donc je ne sais pas. Moi, je suis attristé pour la fin.
Je trouve que c'est, je sais pas, j'arrive pas à comprendre. Un refus de température, un contrôle de police, on s'arrête et puis c'est tout. C'est toujours malheureux de perdre un enfant. Mais bon, je comprends pas. Là, le type, il aurait pu prendre la 86 et provoquer un accident mortel avec plusieurs personnes. Il était parti pour ça. Hein. Alors je suis désolé, la mort d'un jeune homme, c'est toujours malheureux. Le métier de parent est sûrement difficile, pas facile à faire, mais bon.
Let's show Davies link. The whole city block right here. So that's, I don't know if that's a whole city block, but it's a building. Yeah.
Là c'est chaud, wesh. Au nom de Dieu.
Yeah, I mean, look,
C'est déniqué à Sevran. Là c'est déniqué
that's
à
a big
Sevran.
building. I don't know about city block.
Au nom de Dieu.
Yeah. We're never going to have progress when violence is the response to violence, but it wasn't justified. Kyle Rittenhouse wasn't justified. The gun madness and gun anarchy is not the solution. Okay? People aren't doing crime because they just enjoy crime. Doesn't matter though. The right-wing narratives are winning. People will always pick. People will always pick a fake security over real, like actual liberty. They'll always sacrifice their liberty for a fake perception of security. I've never seen humanity go the other way. No, just shoot him in the head. Teenager panicked, ran away from a cop pointing a gun right in his face. Yeah. Where do you think Davy would have stood in the American Revolution? Davy comes on over from Britain, comes on over to the New World from Britain, right? Where do you think Davy would have stood during the American Revolution, guys? I got an idea. I think I know where Davy would have stood. We got to have calm. We can't have disruption, right? You know, we didn't have burning down and rioting when King Charles was in charge. Davy, Macron isn't listening. The French government doesn't listen. It's getting worse and worse and worse. When your leaders are ignoring democracy, what is the response? Right? When your leaders are ignoring democracy, what is the response? But yeah, I mean, it's counterproductive. What am I going to sit here and say? It's a good look. It's a good look to burn down the Five Guys, right? It's not a good look. Not a good look. So here's the Five Guys getting looted. Whoa! You know, Davey, it could be a little bit of both. You know, a lot of people aren't square nerds like you and have actually expressed emotions in the, you know, in their life. I can't tell you how fun it is to express your anger in a public way, right? It can be really fun to loot the Five Guys, and you could also be really, really pissed about the injustice of a unjustified killing of a teenager. You could actually kind of do both, right? It's actually possible. I know you're not very good with you know, that kind of stuff, right? Emotions. You ever broke anything, Davey? You ever shattered a window? Feels good. But ultimately, you're right. It's not justified. I mean, the violence isn't justified. You know what it would have been more effective? I'm sure Davey would have had a problem with this too, though. Don't you worry. Davey would have a problem with it. But it would have been harder for Davey to have a problem with this. Have the protesters, instead of breaking shit and having a good time and burning shit down, if they just stayed in the street, right? Kind of did a George Floyd, right? Where they occupy a street, right? And they just refuse to leave, you know. No, and Davey, you know, I hate it when you're right when I'm mad at you. You know, I hate it when you're right when I'm mad at you. But you're 100% correct, and I agree. It would be more effective to isolate this to the government buildings and not just steal purses and shit. I'm not going to sit here and say that this doesn't diminish it, but I'm not going to also sit here and say that these people are you know, like what you're saying, Davey, that they're just doing this just to have fun. Okay? Because let me tell you, people that are happily employed and are, you know, are in a good situation in their life and they feel like they have a future, they don't see the need to participate in looting when they see it happening. Right? You're not being you're not being like, you know, what's the word I'm looking for here? Introspective. When you're looking at this violence, right? You're not really thinking about, you know, why would a person find this fun? And like, you know what I mean? Because I'm a 35, you know, I'm more than 35. Oh my God. I'm a 30-year-old man. I'm 29. I'm a 29-year-old man. And I got enough money. You know, if I saw this happening, I'd be like, ooh, that looks like fun. But I'd be like, it's not really worth the trouble. If I want a purse, I'll go buy one. Right? But, you know, no, so they're just doing it because they just like crime. They're just doing it because they like fucking shit up, right? What would drive a person to this? What kind of economic, societal, you know, prospects, right? Do these people feel like they have a future? I bet they don't. Do these people feel hopeless? I bet they do. Is there a good reason why they would have those feelings? Absolutely. It's related to corruption. And Jay Solahov over here, yeah. I mean, it's tough, right? Because it's the same thing, you know, during some only less than 10% of the BLM George Floyd related protests were violent. Of course, Davey probably also participates in calling all of them riots, right? They're all riots, right? All the BLM protests, right, Davey? Thank you, Zoop, for that follow. But yeah, it's not a good look, lefties. It's not a good look. It just isn't. It's not a good fucking look. It's a bad look. It's not. It's counterproductive. It's not helping. Let me just change my tags here really quick. I forgot to do that. It's talking about the sub. Yeah, okay. What do you think that is that was blowing up there? Narcissism drives people towards this behavior. That's it, huh? They're just what? They're watching too much TikTok. That's why they want to riot. You are a fucking 70-year-old man masquerading in a 20-year-old's body. You know that? How pathetic is it that you're so young, so smart, and yet you're taking some of the worst ideas and concepts from your father and grandfathers, right? These old boomers before you. Narcissism. What? Should they put down their phones, Grandpa? Are you joking? Are you joking? They're breaking into a Five Guys because they want a, social media bump. Wow, man. How cynical. How fucking shallow of an analysis that is. Father in France. Yeah, that was what I was talking. Yeah, that's an accurate description of what I was talking about. Yeah, you're being totally honest with us right now. I put you in a little corner there, and you just were completely disingenuous about what I was talking about. Okay, yeah. But I agree with this. Good for the father. I'm sure Davey agrees. This father caught her. This actually just reminds me of BLM as well. Davey might remember this. He's plugged in. But remember that mother out in the BLM protests who caught their young son rioting, basically, in participating in the looting, right, of some of the stores. And she was like pulling him by the ear. Yeah, remember that one, Davey? It's kind of a classic, right? Yeah, I knew you would remember that one. Pulling him by the ear, right? Get your ass in the car, right? So kind of the same situation here, father over here. And I agree with this. It's not a revolution. Davey's right. This is not a revolution, but it is the only way to communicate currently with this right-wing government, not centrist, right-wing government. It is one of the only ways to communicate with this right-wing government is to participate in these aggressive protests. I will say, though, and I've been saying it forever, is that protest movements do need to organize better, right? But I mean, you can't, it's impossible. If those that are in charge and people like Davey are saying protest movements need to 100% be fully uniform and like buttoned up and disciplined, and not a single person does anything outside of the scope of what that protest movement wants, and they're supposed to be able to control thousands and thousands of people protesting in an area. If that is the standard for legitimate protest, then let me tell you, the people making that standard are being disingenuous and are not interested in democracy, in dissent, right? Oh, I would agree with protesting if you just protested correctly. You need to protest correctly. If you're not protesting correctly, then it's illegitimate while you're protesting. Yeah. You had a protest of 10,000 and less than 100 people broke some windows. Sorry. Protest movements now no longer justified. The democracy is, sorry. Too bad. You're no longer a legitimate protest movement. Some people splintered off, broke some windows, no longer legitimate. Just how the world works. Anyway, moving on. Now that we're going to change nothing, great. So now we're going to change nothing. Moving on. Right?
Tensions remain high across France tonight after days of protest over the fatal shooting of a teenager by police. The 17-year-old was killed on Tuesday in a Paris suburb during a traffic stop. The officer who fired the...
So, Lahav, that's the case with some of them, but Davey's probably, digging through the internet right now, trying to find examples of mom and pop shops that didn't have insurance, right, that were there, since World War II, and now they're gone, right, because of the protest movement. So it's... I see what you're doing, and I think it doesn't help to justify the violence. I think what you have to do is you have to have, it's a sloppy argument, kind of a nuanced argument where it's like, I agree with their pain. I agree with their outburst, right? But I don't agree with their tactics, right? Of causing mass chaos, burning buildings down, not whole city blocks. I haven't seen evidence of that yet, Davey. Okay. But I don't think it helps the left to use mental gymnastics to try and justify this violence, right? I think the path that the left needs to go down is to say, yeah, there's a lot of pain there, right? And it's justified pain, but using violence as a tool to communicate that pain is clearly not the most effective way of doing that. I think that's the kind of angle that you have to have. Well, thank you, Davey. I appreciate that. It's difficult to have a conversation with a lot of right-wingers about BLM when they're classifying every single protest as a riot when less than 10% resulted in any kind of violence. It's very difficult to have an honest conversation when someone's doing that. Like when someone is looking at a video of a teenager panicking and driving away and pretending like that teenager was trying to kill the cop with a car. Because that's absolutely not what was happening. It doesn't make the conversation very easy to have when one side is being so fucking dishonest.
The shot has been charged now with voluntary homicide. And today, a memorial march led by the victim's mother also ended with violence. 40,000 police are now on alert across the country.
So does she like violence, Davey? Is she out there because of her ego? Right? Is she a bad person because she's smiling and raising her fist up? Is this her social media moment? Thank you for the follow, Tarte Palm.
17-year-old
Look at this fucking narcissist. Now see, now I'm I'm putting words in Davey's mouth. Okay. Now I'm putting words in Davey's mouth. His intention weren't to kill the officer, but his actions could have led to a dead officer. The officer was justified in shooting him. Also, the officer didn't mag dump. He took one shot. Pretty fucking gross. If I was a French person, I would do everything in my power to make sure people like Davey are not in power, that their opinions are not listened to. Because look, we saw the video. It was absolutely not justified. Okay. And here's Davey doing everything. So his intention wasn't to kill the officer. So Davey admits that the person wasn't intending to kill the officer, but his actions could have. So a cop gets to murder someone based off a hypothetical. Wow. What a shit opinion. Just like in America, right? Just a Tuesday, right? Oh, the cop, well, he was he was uncomfortable, so waste the fucker, right? Because this is a Charles Bronson movie, right? And Davey, you kind of ran away from this pretty quickly. Is it? And I think you will actually agree with this. Is it justified for the officer to then be arrested for turning a vehicle into a deadly weapon? By killing the driver of that vehicle, the vehicle is then out of control. Is the officer then responsible for the people that are injured and killed from that deadly weapon that is now careening down the street as a direct result of the actions of that officer? Right? Should the officer be arrested, or is it, nah, well, he's just doing his job. You got to crack a few eggs, man. Got to crack a few eggs. In America, cops used to not engage in high-speed chases because it would put other people in danger, and they would just get the license plate and then arrest the person later. Did you know that cops in America used to show restraint during high-speed chases so that the person in the car wouldn't get killed, but also the person wouldn't kill other people in a panic? Does anyone remember that when that was the standard? No, we don't, because we're fucking poisoned by the mainstream media and conservative talking points about how the police union is 100% correct and the warrior cop mentality is the only way to do it. No, but now cops get to hang out their window and fucking shoot people coyote style, fucking right like it's Brazil. It's a Wednesday. Yeah, it's wild seeing a cop hanging out the window shooting somebody. Yeah, he was really mad. Anyway.
Nail's mother led a fired-up crowd in what started as a peaceful protest.
Yeah, Tarte Palm, I'm glad you agree. Thank you for your comments.
For her son. But simmering tensions boiled over as people threw projectiles at police who used tear gas. The vigil turning to vandalism for some as cars were again set alight.
It's a whole city block.
It's the third day of unrest over Nail's killing. While the officer who shot him has now been charged, some say the problem goes...
Look at Davey over here. So the teenager in the car makes a split-second decision and deserves death. The professionally trained adult policeman makes a terrible decision and turns a half-a-ton vehicle into a deadly weapon. And I don't know, maybe gee, I don't know. It's really hard doing that job. Isn't he supposed to train to de-escalate? Isn't he supposed to be a professional? He had a split second to make a choice. He put his foot on the accelerator and was dead within 1 second. That's about as split second as it gets, Davey. I don't know. Maybe we should protect the warrior cop mentality. Cops really should be able to kill people if they feel even the slightest bit in danger. That's the only way to do it. Except it isn't. Except other police departments in many other countries show how successful you can be without sticking a gun in someone's face and get the fuck down on the floor, you fucking piece of scum. There's actually better ways to do it. Davey doesn't give a shit, though.
Much deeper.
We live in France, which is supposed to mean equality, freedom, fraternity, but that doesn't exist anymore. The police make the rules and do what they want. If they decide to kill someone, they just do it.
I would like it to never happen again. It shouldn't be possible to die like this, for no reason. I wouldn't want it to happen to my own...
Davey, there was a reason. There was a reason he tried to kill the cop. He tried to kill the cop. I saw the video. He tried to kill the cop. The whole city block's burnt down. He tried to kill the cop. Except that's not actually what happened.
Children. My eldest is 11. It could be him in 5 years, dying from a gunshot wound. This really needs to stop.
Teenagers make really bad decisions. They make really, really bad decisions. And look, if that dude was running people down and, like, you know, crashing into other cars and, you know what I mean? Okay, you know, we've crossed that threshold into, you know, now you're a danger not only to yourself and the police, but also the public at large, right? Yeah, Tarte Palm. I don't know. I don't know about that one. Davey, are you going to say here that cops aren't predominantly right-wingers? You think what the police institutions in France and in the United States are what, havens of left-wing thought? January 6th, anybody?
Authorities have struggled for days to control rioters. Protesters have burned a town hall outside the northern city of Lille, with public transport in Paris also targeted. Tram and bus services in several regions have been shut down early.
Maybe there are other ways of discussing this problem, rather than making trouble for people going to work.
I'm not that knowledgeable, Tarte Palm. I don't know. I don't know about that one. You'd have to Google that one. Most are, but they didn't shoot him because they were right-wingers and hate Muslims. Yeah. Unless I see some evidence, right? Unless I see some social media or, you know, some kind of evidence that this cop was like out to get Muslims. Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with Davey on that one. Brand says the global security law that makes it a crime to record or photograph police in a way that makes police, that's just as authoritarian as it fucking gets right there. Don't you love that? Don't you love that? Cops are above photography, right? If a professional is doing his job right, why would he need that to be like kept from the public? You think police would, yes, record me. This is how we do our job. We're very proud of it. We're very good at it. We're protecting the people. We want you to see our struggle. Record away. This is how we get things done. But why would an institution want to hide from a camera? Would that mean that the institution knows that it's corrupt, that it's illegal, that it's acting illegally, and it wants to hide itself from the public? That would be the only good reason to have that law, right? To shield evidence from the public, basically, right? There's really no honest argument to be had about why you can't film the police. Absolutely preposterous. I mean, all those cops, you know, what's the famous Rodney King, right? Oh, it's against my civil rights. You're filming us in private. You're filming us in private. How dare you? Show how racist we are when we're beating the hell out of Rodney King, right? Absolutely ridiculous, Solahov.
The government is deploying 40,000 officers and says it will take a zero-tolerance approach.
Now, a person like Davey would not agree with that law. I feel very confident saying that Davey, as right-wing as he is, as conservative as he is, would not agree with, you know, the cops making it illegal to film them, right, Davey? You think it's good, right, that cops... that we should be able to film cops. Cops should wear body cams. They should be held accountable for their actions, right? Yeah. See. Davey will throw you through a goddamn loop, dude. He'll piss you the fuck off.
To any torchings.
More than a dozen police stations or barracks have been attacked. They have shown great professionalism in very difficult conditions. And I want to reiterate my support and confidence in them. I am standing by their side.
Curfews have been announced in some areas on the outskirts
of Paris. Oh man, look at that whole city block.
As authorities brace for more fury.
Oh man. That was a whole city block right there, guys. Wow.
And joining us now from Paris is Linda Givtash, a journalist with the news agency AFP. Linda, the officer involved has now been put under formal investigation. What can you tell us?
People are obviously...
Tarte Palm, in America at least, it's actually been kind of interesting. African-American police have shown to have similar bias against black people in poor neighborhoods as their white counterparts. So it might not just be a race issue. It might actually be more of a class issue, right? Where being in that position of power, being around people that you eventually deem as lesser than you, it might have less to do with race, and it might have more to do with your class, your position of power, and how that's perceived in the hierarchy in society. I'm not convinced that all of our problems are due to racial hatred. I'm not going to sit here and I'm a white guy, right? I'm not going to sit here and say that there isn't racism. What the fuck, right? I'm just saying it might be more complicated than just racial hatred, especially when you have the power dynamics of law enforcement involved. It changes the whole thing. Cops are given special rights over the citizens, right? To do their job properly, right? Citizens, how can I arrest somebody if I don't have special rights to detain him against his will, right? It's literally impossible. But that's how it needs to work. And I think that power dynamic has a lot to do with police abusing the citizens.
Obviously very upset over the incident.
Race is absolutely involved in that, though.
There's a lot of emotions running high right now within the community. A young man is dead. The investigation is progressing
whole city blocks
quite rapidly.
Burned down, I hear. Whole city blocks.
The fact that they have
very
had
reputable
this
source.
officer in question, already detained, already bringing him to the magistrate's court. There's a lot of progress, really rapid, in the fact that, again, emotions are running high. We're seeing a lot of action on the streets in terms of protests.
So we got all the money. We got, you know how expensive equipping, training, and, you know, keeping on staff 40,000 police officers is. So we got all the money and time in the world for that. Where's the poverty outreach? You know, are we really allocating these resources appropriately to target the actual problem, which is, you know, economics, right? You know, a lot of economics, of course, some sociology in there as well, but it's a pretty big economic issue why people would want to burn down the Five Guys. Is, you know, are we dedicating resources to that, or are we just kind of trying to keep the corporate status quo going and letting the millionaires continue to become billionaires and just ramp it out of control, right?
Both peaceful and
Capitalism.
also violent at times. So tensions are quite high right now.
So to make sure I understand correctly, do you think the fact that someone has been charged?
Well, that's an interesting point of view, Tarte Palm. Like, you know, I'm not an expert on race relations within police, right? It's just my own 2 cents there, but I feel like it's more complicated than just racial hatred because, like I've said, I've seen, you know, if I've seen actions by black police in the United States, and if that person was white, they'd say, "Oh, that guy's racist," right? But it was a black guy doing it. It's like, well, okay, well, if it's not racism, then what the hell is it? And I'm not saying black people can't be racist against black people. You have the Boondocks character, Uncle Ruckus, that, you know, was showing that dynamic within the African American community of internalized racism, right? So a lot of complicated fucking subjects we're talking about. A lot of fun here at the News Underground. We're just having so much fucking fun. You kidding me? You kidding me? You kidding me? This is the show, right? We're kicking back, we're laughing, relaxing, all cool and all, kicking some b-ball outside of school, right? Yeah, whole city blocks. Whole city blocks.
Will go some way toward easing tensions here.
That is up to the communities,
So,
obviously,
you're
in
correct.
question, the people around. I think, and it's hard to tell. We'll see how this evening progresses. At the same time, while we're seeing obviously action being taken on the front of justice, at the same time, we have communities where there's curfews being put into
Oh my
effect.
God, that's a whole city block.
They've already, even for the capital region itself,
If
for
Davey is
Paris,
still here, he's fucking
there
rolling his eyes
are,
right now.
limitations on bus service and tram service this evening. People are not going to be able to move quite normally. Obviously, the metro is still running, the underlying subway is still running, but, you know, bus service is going to be limited. So the movement of people is going to be obviously controlled to a degree. So there's multiple factors in effect at this moment, but for communities who want to see action, who want to see justice, the fact that there is someone.
No, I think they're doing real damage. I think they are, and I don't think that it's all going to be covered by insurance either. I don't think it's whole city blocks. You should probably reel that one back. At the same time, I do think it's counterproductive for the left. I do.
Who is under informal investigation should mean something to them.
Yeah, so many protesters are saying that the death of this teenager is just the latest example of systemic racism inside French law enforcement and a culture of impunity. How big of a problem is police violence in France?
I think keeping in context.
Wow, Davey. Wow. Your opinion doesn't matter. He's closer to the situation than you are, and man, you are triggered, bro. You are fucking take a walk, dude. Roll that shit back. Your opinion doesn't matter. You don't believe that. Roll that shit back. He's closer to the action than you are. Oh, shut the hell up. You don't know no friend. Come on. You stop embarrassing yourself, Davey.
Just the last few months of this year, not even looking earlier on, we just come off the heels of quite violent protests at times over the pension reform. I'm sure people around the world were paying attention to this, where the presidency and the government pushed through pension reform.
You got one of those city blocks? Can you give me one video of an actual city block on fire, please? Can you just give me one? Helicopters showing from above or something, a whole block being on fire. Just give me proof here, man, because I keep shitting on you, but I could be wrong. There could be a whole block on fire.
And the age of retirement from 60 to 62, there were a lot of protests on that, and from that also a lot of they bubbled up into violent action. People were injured, many people were arrested. And at that time, there was a lot of criticism over the excessive use of force of police, and that was called to question. And so for this to happen just, months, practically weeks after those incidences where that's already still remains at top of mind for a lot of people here, it's just bringing up that entire question again.
Well, thank you so much for giving us.
Yeah, I didn't need you to tell me that you didn't get it for me to perceive that you don't get it, Panda Man. I think it's pretty clear you don't get it. Let's go ahead and take a look. So this is Davies' proof that this is we got whole city blocks on fire. Okay, here we go. Aerial shot. Exactly what I looked for. All right, so this is a couple buildings on fire. I'm not seeing the whole city block. It's kind of an L. Come on, buddy. I don't agree with it. I'm not justifying it. I don't agree with it. Okay, these people are losing their livelihoods. Not all of this is going to be covered by insurance. I think it is counterproductive. Just want to make all that clear. Davey, first of all, you're looking at the video and saying that the person tried to kill the cop. They didn't. You're looking at this video saying whole city blocks are on fire. They're not. And I'm supposed to respect you. You're the one being incredibly dishonest. I'm not going to, you're my lying eyes, huh? This is not a whole city block on fire, Davey. And that teenager was not trying to kill the cop in the 1 second that they were hitting the accelerator before they were shot in the head. So you're the one being dishonest, man. And I'm supposed to take you seriously, Oh, sky isn't blue, sky isn't blue, sky isn't blue. No, they're not. No, they're fucking not. Right? Look, you could say they're burning buildings, they're burning businesses, they're burning cars, they're causing chaos, they're breaking windows, they're, probably getting into scuffles with the police. It's actually quite amazing that apparently no one else has died, right? I haven't heard any reports of protesters or police dying. Whole city blocks, whole city blocks. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. And I'm supposed to take your argument seriously about how it's justified that a cop can just shoot somebody in the head. They just feel ruffled. Oh, I got the vapors. Blah, blah. Oh, get the vapors. Yeah, no, you're being disingenuous. You are not accurately describing what is in front of us. And I don't agree with your arguments that the cop was justified in murdering that person. The cop was justified in arresting that person. The cop was justified in chasing that person, I guess, right? It would be more productive to just let that person get away. And then, like I said, right? Cars have to be registered to addresses. People have to work at businesses. You're the one in denial. You're literally looking at reality through a completely tinted, skewed perspective here. Okay, and you're justifying the murder with that skewed perspective. And you're like, no, it's not. It's all justified. It's all justified. That cop didn't put people in. Maybe that cop might have put people in danger. That cop turned that half-a-ton car into a deadly weapon that careened into a fucking public parking lot. Could have killed multiple people. Could have slammed into it. I mean, Davey over here talking about hypotheticals. That car that was no longer in control because of the actions of the police. That car could have slammed right into a baby bassinet and the mother. Oh, a newborn baby. Why would, you know, oh, justified. You got to crack a few eggs. Got to crack some of those eggs, man. So, yeah, right wing being incredibly disingenuous, lying to us, telling us to not believe what we're seeing, making the incredibly dangerous, as we've seen, it gets wildly out of control, letting cops get away with this mentality, this warrior mentality, this justified killing. The moment we feel like we're in danger, we're fully justified in murdering you. Mentality. It only gets worse in the United States. It gets completely out of hand. You see cops flip, untrained cops that are not trained to handle stressful situations, escalating situations, murdering people, and then getting off scot-free or with a slap on the wrist. Let me tell you, France, it gets completely out of hand. So do everything that you can without killing people, and hey, let's try not to burn down some buildings or whole city blocks. Let's try not to do that. But do everything within your power politically to stop this warrior cop mentality. Don't believe the gaslighters like Davey and Panda Man who say it's justified. Because let me tell you, it's toxic over here in the United States. The warrior cop mentality, this escalation mentality, this kill or be killed attitude has not created more freedom for us, has not created more security for us, has not reduced gun violence, has not reduced crime. Okay? It has not achieved any of the goals that law enforcement claims that they have. This warrior cop mentality, shooting people, it's fucking willy-nilly, cops getting away with murder every single day, almost. It has not created a safer, more secure society. So do everything that you can in your power, France, to change this. But I have to say, and I hate to agree, but the violence is counterproductive. It is always counterproductive. It is. Gandhi had it right. MLK had it right. Right? They did. Right? But even you can protest like Gandhi and MLK, and the Davies will still come out and say that you're doing it wrong. Right? Not a single car could have been burned, and Davey would have been over here. Oh, they shouldn't have been blocking traffic. There could have been. What about this? What about hospital? What about ambulance? What about? You're not protesting correctly. Let's not get it twisted that the Davies in our life wouldn't have come up with some shit fucking excuse as to why we can't protest or we need to protest correctly. Let me tell you something. France was built on protest. America was built on protest. Dissent is patriotic. And strong democracies allow dissent. Burning a car, though, we should avoid it. All right, fair enough. Davey's right. He did acknowledge that. And look at over here. Davey calling him protests. Not your average right winger. Not your average right winger. Your average right winger will say every BLM protest was a riot, that they burnt whole city blocks down. Right. But yeah, I said specifically the Davies in our life. Maybe not Davey specifically, but these right-wing gaslighters, right? Oh, you're not protesting correctly. Oh, you didn't burn anything down, but you blocked the road. What if an ambulance had no other way to get somewhere and someone died? And then what if this and what if that and what if? You should have stayed home. You shouldn't protest the government. There's no right way to protest. You shouldn't disrupt. The status quo needs to be defended at all costs. Because I got mine. I'm putting words into conservatives' mouths, right? A little bit. There's a million justifications that they have. But I'm just trying to make the point, though, that even if you went full Gandhi MLK, there will be bad actors that say you're protesting wrong, that you're disrupting wrong, that you shouldn't do that you're a danger to society, that it's justified that the police use violence against you to quell what you're trying to do, right? There will be people that say that. Maybe not Davey specifically, because as wrong as he is, a grand majority, I would say grand majority of the time, I don't know, man, about 60-40 right now. Your Ron DeSantis vote disgusts me, and I am beyond ashamed of you. So definitely down a couple notches in my book for that one. But Davey does keep it real. As real as Davey perceives it, right? Davey's perception of reality. That's a whole city block getting burned down. Kyle Rittenhouse was justified. I think it's really funny that such a smart person like you would pretend like you only have two options. Batman isn't a cop, but he is a fascist. Is Batman a fascist? He's an authoritarian. Is he a fascist? Gross. Shameful. Davey's shameful. There you go. That's my France Update YouTube. Shameful.